Yes, people, what is going on? The guy who sits and looks at this camera and waffles shite, sometimes up to about 40 minutes. It's Ash here, it's DJ Ash Noble, and we're back with the aftermath of yesterday. Aftermath. What can I say? We have quite a good aftermath to talk about, and I do feel a little bit just not all together there. So if I do sound a little bit like I'm just still a little tired. I think, like, just a little bit worn out from from the weekend antics. To be honest, it was a kind of a little bit my own fault, because I was going to get an earlier night on Friday night. I got playing with a tune on FL, and I was I was going to go for a shower and get to bed, and every 5 minutes it was, I'll just have another 5 minutes, and then before you're going up for like 1 in the morning. I don't think I actually got to bed till about 2. But yeah, we're back with the aftermath of yesterday's antics. Now, this aftermath is going to go very different to what I originally thought it was going to go. So my original plan was I was going to do the aftermath, the big Jubilee Jamboree. And then probably in a day or so's time, I'd just make a little video and say how how the Bounce to Your Drop night went in Scunthorpe. As some of you may or may not know, I was going on attendance to that night, just to show my face and support. And of course, the bad boy, the legend, Public Domain himself, was headlining. Yeah, things went very, very differently, as we'll get on to a little bit later on in the stream. So we're putting both the events into one video because, like I said, there's been some development, some new changes to the aftermath. But no, we'll start off with the big Jubilee Jamboree. Was like well, that was the main sort of reason of the weekend, really. That was it was my gig. It was it was the main thing I was doing this weekend. So yeah, so for those of you who may or may not know, my band Noble and the Gang were performing live at the big Jubilee Jamboree, which was like it was like an outdoor event with like live music and bands and food and drink, and it was a really fun day. So for anybody who is like really in the dark and is like, what, Noble's in a band? So to cut the story as short as possible, every Tuesday I go to a like a little club stroke course called Music Lab, and essentially got recommended through the Goodwin, which is like an appointment, like a course class thing. I'm going on recommended through the job centre, and they're sort of helping me build confidence back up and helping me to get back into work. And you're probably sat there thinking, like, how the does Noble need confidence? And I know you're probably thinking that, but it's quite hard getting a job, and I struggle with spelling. I'm not the best reader in the world, and I do just need that general just a little bit of help just to get myself sort of back in there. But they're sort of focusing on sort of like what you actually want to do in life. So as opposed to just saying like, oh yeah, there's a job at Tesco's, take it. As much as as the that is a good thing as well. Like, if you do apply for a job and you get it, like, obviously wicked. But they do also want to work to like to what you want to do in life. So like, what is your actual dream? What is the actual sort of, where do you see yourself? That kind of thing. And they're trying their best to sort of help you towards it. And obviously my dream and my passion and ambition is to do something music wise. You know, whether it would be like, oh, you know, own a record store, whether it be a, you know, proper full-time presenter on the radio, you know, whether I do go around, you know, gigging and, you know, I end up earning enough off it to, you know, to live, which is that, you know, that is a very hard thing in itself. And, you know, it takes a lot of time to get to that stage. You might not even ever get to that stage. You never know. But you know, my dream and my ambition is just to do something music related, even if I was, you know, setting up equipment or something like that. You know, something music related, is just sort of my aim, and something that if you like, I'm very happy, if that makes sense. Something that I'm very sort of, you know, like I'd be happy doing something as long as it was sort of like music wise. You know, sound checking people, setting up, building stages maybe and stuff like that. Just being out there and, you know, sort of being music related. So yeah, so Music Lab is like this little course where we can just sort of like, you can go, you can learn to play an instrument, you can, we learn about events management, and essentially we formed like our own little band at Music Lab, called Noble and the Gang, and we get like some little local sort of like grassroots gigs and things, and we get some little events to do. But yesterday we had quite a big event, which I was very buzzed about. So we took over a car park at the Octagon, the Goodwin Centre, like a big Goodwin building. And essentially there was a big stage, there was like food, there was like face painting and activities for kids, there was like chairs, and there was just a shed load of fun going off like all throughout the day. And our band was lucky enough and fortunate, you know, because of part of Music Lab, that we was able to perform there. So we performed live on stage. I got my own little lanyard, which was just to say that, you know, I was sort of working at the festival, if you like, because as well as performing, I was helping like getting the bands on stage on time, and you know, if they needed any sort of like, you know, if they wanted a drink or anything at the stage, or they needed any help, just, you know, if carrying equipment, like if anybody was coming with their own equipment, which some bands wear, you know, that kind of thing. And that was sort of, I guess what you could say, that was the dealio of what was going on. So I got this little lanyard, just so I got like access to rooms and things that, you know, say somebody who was just coming to attend the event themselves, you know, they won't be able to go inside these specific rooms, or, you know, these buildings, etc., if you like, which we had our own little green room, which was just essentially we could come in here and we could take a bit of time out if we wanted. We could leave like coats and things up here, or you know, any sort of like bags that we don't need with us. There was like food and drink up there as well, so we could just come up and, you know, for example, we could just grab ourselves like you know, a can of Pepsi or something, or get ourselves a bottle of water, you know, get a bag of crisps, some chocolate bars and things up there if we really wanted, you know, and we could just literally, you know, sort of make ourselves a bit more sort of like at home up there, and it was sort of our like little getaway, if you like, from what was going off outside. Like I say, there was music on all day. The music was really good. There was singers, there was bands, there was live performances. There was like a little play about the Queen from the kids, which was quite a nice thing to see. I'm not really a big, you know, the royal family it's not really my thing, and you know, me personally, like I wasn't really too big on support for the Queen as such, but you know, I just used it, I guess, as an opportunity just to get out in the sun. get on the stage and do something with a band. So we went on at 6 o'clock, and we were on for about half an hour, and we absolutely smashed it. It was an experience that I will never forget. It was something that was just truly magical. to be up there on stage. And I don't know, like I had a really good confidence on the mic as well, which I thought was quite a good thing as well. Um, I was really buzzed that was obviously happening. That I was just being, like super confident on the mic. And I mean, what else can I say about it really? It was just a really fun, enjoyable environment to be a part of. It's given me a right buzz and a drive to do more, to want to sort of like push the band further. And I've got an idea for a new song already that's popped into my head that I would possibly like to sort of put my idea forward, because we all sort of try to come up with something as the band together, and at the music lab, with the teachers, tuitioners, or however you want to say it. But I have got a little bit of an idea of a song that sort of starts off a little bit slow, a little bit chilled out. I've got a perfect cover of a song that I want to do. Um, and then I want it to sort of like build up and just go into its own little, really nice little sort of, just something that's going to be quite nice. So yeah, I've got some ideas there, but like I say, what can I say about the big Jubilee Jamboree? It was just an amazing event, and hopefully there'll be more things like that in the future. Indoor gigs, outdoor gigs, who knows? There's going to be some good stuff, so I'm looking to it most definitely. We'll move on to bounce to your drop. We'll move on to bounce to your drop. My original plan for bounce to your drop, my original plan was I was going to go to my big Jubilee Jamboree, and then my friend Lee, he was in Doncaster that night. He was at Doncaster first. So he wasn't gonna come to the bounce to your drop, like at the beginning when it starts. And I thought, well, I still kind of want to go sort of like when it finishes, when it starts. Sorry, because otherwise, I don't know. Well, where Lee was going, he was on like somebody's guest list, and I wasn't, in a lot of sense, I wasn't prepared to go somewhere and pay for an entry fee just to stay for a couple of hours to then, move on to bounce to your drop and miss some of the action at bounce to your drop. So originally I was going to do the big Jubilee Jamboree and going to hop on a bus to Scunthorpe, and the last bus to Scunthorpe is like 20 past 8. And where I was doing the big Jubilee, it was right near the train station. So it would have just been a matter of like walking, about 10 minutes, and I would have been at the station, and I could have just waited, got on the bus. However, before Lee did end up shooting off to Doncaster, he came to see me perform as the big Jubilee. And because where he was going, the person whose guest list he was on wasn't playing till like sort of like 11 o'clock, sort of 12 o'clock. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a lift to Scunthorpe, we'll get something to eat, and then we'll go to, and then I'll go off to Doncaster. So everything changed. So I ended up going home and coming home and having a little bit of a chill out first. And so anyway, so we get to Scunthorpe and we have a bit of food. He gets some batteries for his camera, and then he drops me off. And I'm just waiting outside the club. It wasn't opening for about half an hour. I just arrived a little bit early. And I'm not one of these people, like, because, I mean, they normally, they let me come down, they let me come to the event, etc., which I'm very grateful for, but I'm not one of these people who just, in a lot of sense, I don't like to just walk in. I'm not sort of, whereas me, like, I would have happily have, like, queued, I would have happily have just waited for the main door to open at 11, and then they could have, as I walked in, they could have just said, right, this guy's on the guest list, he doesn't, blah, 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 whatever. But But anyway, so I'm waiting outside, and one of the promoters from the Bounce to Your Drop comes outside for a smoke. So I'm just waiting. I haven't been there long. I've only just more or less got there. So I just shout his name, and then he's opened the gate, come in. So I come in, and then he says, "Have I got my USB stick?" And I didn't have my USB stick. And when like you just like because I've only been saying about this just recently that when I go to like other events, whether I'm playing or I'm not playing, that I've thought about always taking a USB stick just in case. And then if someone did happen to say or someone's dropped out, is there anybody that could fill in? Oh well, actually I've got a stick in my bag. I could fill in if you wanted, blah blah blah. So normally I do think on the ball like that, but because I'd been so busy with the band stuff and I'd been gigging with the band during the day, and so much had been happening, and originally I was going to jump straight on a bus, and because I wasn't on the lineup as well, I just thought, well, I'm not really playing, and then, I just genuinely did not think, to be honest. And then he said, have you got your stick? And then apparently there was like a couple of issues on their behalf. Just a few things didn't go as smoothly as they wanted it to. And then it turns out that I ended up doing a B2B with DJ Top Vibe off of Top Vibe's USB stick, which definitely completely changed the whole sort of like perspective of the night, And there's me sort of thinking I'm gonna come in and just have a good listen to a bit of bounce music and have a talk to a few people, and then I end up doing a 2 hour B2B with Top Vibe, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not always a big fan of doing B2Bs. B2Bs are not really. I do prefer solos, to be honest with you. And to be fair, I've had some pretty rotten B2Bs in the past. Where either things have just not gone right from my behalf, or I just don't feel like I work well with the other partner. I know there was not too long back, there was a B2B planned for a DNA, and I was B2B with someone, and we was putting a set together, and it was a banging set, but I kind of didn't feel like it was me. And I kind of felt like the other partner was taking more control over the situation, and I wasn't really, I didn't really sort of like pick any tunes. He just already had a set put together that he was gonna play, that he just play anywhere really, and then he just said, have a go through some of these tunes and see if you can mix it. And I'm like, I can mix it, I know how to mix, but it didn't really feel like it was me. And then, to cutting the story short, he ended up, he come down with COVID, so he couldn't make the event. So I ended up playing solo. I did a lot better. So I'm not usually a big fan of really doing B2Bs unless, I feel like I can work well with a person. And I did the B2B with Top Vibe, and I've got to say, by far, this is most definitely one of the best B2Bs that I've ever done. I just really enjoyed it. It was just, we did like one mix each. So he mixed, he started on the left deck, and then I mixed into the right deck, and then he mixed back into the left deck, and I mixed into the right deck. So it was just essentially like we both had a CDJ each. He took control of one CDJ, I took control of the other, and it was just it was a really fun B2B. It was really, 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 really enjoyable for a B2B. And we started off with some like old bounce, sort of like KB projects and EB project remixes, a few to mention. And it was just really fun, to be honest with you. And I just absolutely really enjoyed the vibe. And people was even asking me, like, am I going back on? Was I going back on again later on? And I'm like, no, sad, I'm not going back on. I mean, I wasn't even supposed to be on in the first place. It wasn't the, the original plan. But it was a shed load of fun. It just really sort of like just when you all right, I'm playing, and then the fun thing about it is there was nothing planned about it. So like there was no planned tunes. So I'm going like sort of onto someone else's USB stick and thinking, I wonder what bangers I'm gonna find. And then there was a tune and I dropped it in. And now for the life of me, I can't remember what it is. But it was something that I hadn't heard for ages. And you know, when you just like, you read it and you think, oh my days, I haven't heard that in ages. And then, just that buzz of when you press load onto the deck and then you start queuing it up and then you're like, oh my God, this is a banger, this, I ain't heard it in ages. And then you drop it in and then it's just like, yeah, tune. And then just sort of towards the end of the B2B, I went solo for about 15 minutes to half an hour just because, Top Vibe, he was helping running the event himself and that's sometimes the case, they'll put themselves on to play, but if they get quite busy like on the door and stuff, they haven't always got the time to play, if that makes sense. So sometimes just having that additional, like, can someone just jump in and fill in? It's not always a bad idea, and it's definitely taught me now that, just a USB stick just in case. If not even the headphones, have a USB stick with you because, they might have a pair of headphones you can just use but it was fun to play the B2B. It really was, and I never thought I'd see the day where I'd warm up for public domain. That was something that was quite special. And taking over handing over to DJ Z as well was quite a good feeling. And then when he's on the mic and he's saying that that was the sounds of Ash Noble, and I just thought, do you know what? Yeah, like I really enjoyed it. It was just, I don't know, I felt it. I felt comfy behind the decks. I felt good. I just enjoyed sort of like that, sort of not knowing what tunes I'm going to be playing. And it's given me, just that sort of real buzz. And it really was. It was a good B2B. It was enjoyable. Yeah, and I think throughout most of the B2B, the tunes complemented each other. So the tune that Ben sort of picked, I mixed a tune that just went well into it. Apart from there was one tune. It was a Darren Styles tune, and I thought it was just a bounce remix of one of his tunes. I hadn't actually heard it. It actually came into a little bit of an harder drop, a little bit harder than I expected it was going to be honest with you. And then there was like a real nice, I think it was a Cheese and Heads Up tune, and that went into a pretty sick drop as well. And I was just quite buzzed, just sort of like really buzzed in general. And it was just good to play. It was fun to play. I think it was sort of more fun as well because it was unexpected. It was just, I thought, how can the day get better? I've just performed on an outdoor stage with a band, done 5 songs live, got a round of applause and cheered for it. And then, you turn up to Scunthorpe and then you end up warming up for public domain. Like it does, in some sense, it does almost feel like, pinch me, I'm in a dream. Like how can you go from doing that sort of, how can you go from doing that to doing that? do you know what I mean? So it was a really unexpected buzz day. It's one of the best weekends I've had in a long time. And it was just a real sort of buzz, to the whole weekend from being with the band to being at the Bounce to Your Drop. So there you go. What can I say? What a weekend. What an aftermath. Big ups to Terry and Top Vibe for allowing me to go B2B at the last minute, because I know there was people that was actually coming to this event just to support, that could have actually played as well. If they'd have just said, "Oh, bring a stick," I can get you to play, that kind of thing. So I'm very honoured that I got that opportunity to jump on and play. Always got massive love for the Bounce to Your Drop family. They are like a family to me, you know, and I love supporting the events, going to the events, playing the events, sharing the flyers, sharing the videos, coming live and talking about their events is just a buzz because they've really set up a good thing and they've really got a nice thing going. And I just hope, you know, it continues to just be so good going forward. And I know they've got some big plans. I don't know what the plans are, you know, such, but I know you know, they're not backing down. You know, they're always sort of planning ahead and thinking what's next. So I know they're going to have some good things planned in the future. So all you can do is just keep your eye out for when they announce things and, you know, when they announce dates and like that. I know the next event is going to be the birthday celebration, I think. So all I can say is keep your eye out for that. But that's you know, like I say, keep your eye out, keep your eyes peeled for announcements. I think they did announce the date on the page. So go to the Bounce to Your Drop page, have a look at that. And yeah, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share. Peace out.